Oh, bar Ronaldo and Bernardo, maybe Martinho, and that team looks a bit weak. In like when you
Mhm.
see what the Spanish team is going to consist of, like.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just kind of just looking at it now.
Mm.
Obviously, like the Portuguese players, I don't know. Did you hear much about the Sporting Lisbon kind of fallout?
No, I
Hmm.
actually didn't.
Joe Mario's on the bench. Yeah, so at the end of the season, they didn't qualify for the Champions League. They
Hmm.
lost the last game, so Benfica ended up finishing above them. Then the Sporting Lisbon owner tweeted something about the team being weak or something. And then like a few days before the Portuguese Cup final, I think like 60 kind of massed Sporting Lisbon fans came in and just beat the shit out of the players. I think
What?
like Bastos was like taken to the floor and started beating them, and then he was out of the final. And then
Oh
probably
my
no
God.
surprise that they actually lost the final. So they didn't get Champions League. They didn't win the cup, and then a bunch of their players are trying to like get their contracts null and voided. So
Yeah, I heard seven
Patricio,
players. I heard seven players got
yeah,
pulled.
yeah, was it seven? Is it? Yeah, yeah. No, like
Yeah.
there's so much talent there that are if it does happen, there's going to be a scramble by all the big teams because
Mm.
there's a couple of €100 million worth of players there that are going to be on the free market now.
And how are they able
Um,
to legally like terminate their contracts?
I think it's probably got something to do with the fact that the owner tweeted, and like in everyone's contract, it's supposed to be like the club will take responsibility of the safety of the players, and
Mm.
obviously having 60 people storm their training ground
Yeah,
to beat the shit out of them is probably not taking care of your owners or your players, especially when the
that's a good
owner
point.
tweeted something. I don't actually know what that was, but yeah, it's not a nice situation for Portuguese players
Mm.
for some of them. Um, yeah, I would see because no one's really be talking about Portugal leading up to this. It's all been about Spain and the change of managers at the last minute, and how Real Madrid kind of fucked over the Spanish FA and how the Spanish FA might have screwed over the players by making a big
Changing.
change. Like
Yeah.
could they have done something else? Like could they have just set
And
up
you
like a
know
private league?
what's very interesting actually about Fernando Hierro
Hmm.
is that he's a big proponent of long ball football.
Oh, is he?
And
Okay.
I'm
This
not
time
I'm not
at
actually
Bolton.
I'm actually not I know you're gonna say that, but if you watch the way he played back with Real Madrid, he because he could pass the ball very well from the back, like no
Yeah,
passes.
it's true.
So who knows? Maybe you start seeing some long balls from Sergio Ramos down the middle. There you go, straight
Yeah,
away.
it could be the abandonment of the possession-based football that Spain have been playing for 10 plus years. Like,
Who knows? Like I just find that
okay, so
hilarious
I'm
at the
just
minute.
I'm watching the stream, and what second are you on right now?
I'm on 45 seconds, 46,
Okay,
47.
I'm about yeah, I'm about 20 seconds behind you, so that's going to be an interesting one. You'll be screaming
Okay,
before I get to see it.
I'll do my best not to. I do my best not to ruin anything.
Yeah, put on the poker face.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, while the game's kind of happening, I guess like what did you think of the opening day, the opening ceremony? Obviously, Russia won 5-0, which we didn't
Yeah.
really expect. I don't think anyone did, but what do you
Um,
think?
I thought Russia played. In the first half, I thought Russia were ordinary. I thought both teams were ordinary. I think it was 0-0, or was it 1-0 going into
Yeah, it's 1-0.
Yeah, but then I don't know what their coach did, what their coach said, or maybe just the goal in itself. It must have just reinvigorated
Yeah,
the team. And let's be honest, like Russia is 70th, but I don't think Russia has any business being below a team such as Saudi Arabia. And that's no disrespect to Saudi Arabia, but
yeah,
if you look at how those rankings work, a lot of those wins Saudi Arabia is getting is against teams such as like Qatar or the UAE or like
hmm
whoever's in the Middle East. While like Russia
yeah.
is
The
not a
Middle
good
East is pretty
team,
poor.
exactly, and Russia aren't a strong team by any stretch of the imagination, but they still have to play your Spains, your Portugals, your even your Croatias, your Polands, and they're all strong teams in their own right. So if they're losing to them while Saudi Arabia is beating, oh my, while Saudi Arabia is
The jig is up.
I'm not saying anything. While Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia is losing to them, uh, you just but that kind of just took my mind off everything. While Saudi
Oh,
Arabia is
big
losing to
time.
them, you just can't compare
Oh,
it. So now you've seen it yourself, haven't you?
yeah, yeah, I'm with you now. Yeah, yeah. I wonder is VAR going to jump in here? Obviously, you're 20 seconds ahead, so you're the man in the future.
Yeah, that's mad. Is there no way you can find what stream are you watching?
I'm watching RT Player, which is probably not the best thing to do. I should definitely have just a TV, so
Do
we
you
both
have
be live.
VPN?
I don't have VPN, no, no.
No, like, do you have a VPN? Like, you can download this thing. Do you use Chrome on
Hmm.
your browser? You can download
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah, I've got them.
You can download this thing that kind of changes your location. So then what you do is you go on the BBC player, because I'm watching this on BBC myself right now, and I think the BBC
Okay.
player is quite accurate. Um, so then you can change your location to England and then sign up for the BBC player, and
Nice.
that should you know help you watch the show, help you watch the game, and like be kind of more up to date. But it doesn't matter. Like if you weren't like watching with
Yeah,
me, it wouldn't make any difference. So
yeah, yeah. I'd imagine probably like doing this as a live broadcast probably isn't really helping out my internet speeds, having downloading and uploading. Nice pen from
nah.
Ronnie. Let's put a cat among the pigeons. Fourth minute.
Have you seen Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Solid penalty. But anyway, to go back to what I was saying, Russia did well.
Mm-hmm.
They put themselves in a strong position to actually
Definitely, yeah.
go through, because if they get a decent result against Egypt, which could just be just a draw even, and with that goal difference, 5 goals, you can definitely see them kind of trying to make a push to steal that second spot.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because as you said, the goal difference is pretty massive after one game, and it's pretty much just like a qualifying playoff now between them and Russia. And I think Egypt would be pretty gutted not to have actually won that game today or
Mm.
got something from that game because they were in
Did
it right till
Salah
the
come
end.
on in that game? I can't
No,
remember.
he didn't. No, no. Like everyone was kind of expecting it, and they brought on one player and it wasn't Salah. Then they brought on another player, and then the former Stoke player, Sidibe, kind of came on as
Mm.
their last roll of the dice. I think he's moved to Huddersfield. They were saying on commentary today. So, yeah, he obviously wasn't fit enough because I think a lot of people kind of thought the game plan was stay solid and then put Salah on with like 15, 20 minutes to go or something and see if they could snatch it, but never transpired that way. So,
Mm.
yeah, the next game is Russia versus Egypt. Like so.
That's a big game. It's a huge game. So
Yeah, yeah, so
I have
it'll
to
all
say
kind of
in
come
this
down to that.
game, I have to say in this game already, Ronaldo's kind of playing a storm. I know only 5 minutes have gone by, but he won the penalty,
Hmm.
scored the penalty. He seems to be popping up everywhere, to be honest. It's kind of
Yeah,
surprised me because I just thought he'd be just poaching in the box, but he won that in the middle of the park there. So
yeah, yeah.
like if you see him now, he's meant on the team sheet it says he's the striker, but right now he's taking up a position in like central midfield. So um,
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Like, cause yeah, what he kind of does for Portugal is just kind of plays everywhere to kind of get as much of the ball as possible.
yeah.
Um, so
Anyway, what did you think of the? I don't know if you caught it, but what did you think of the? What's the earlier game today? The
the Uruguay Egypt game.
Uruguay Egypt game. Yeah. What's your opinion?
Yeah, like it wasn't as good as I was hoping it to be. Obviously, Salah didn't make it onto the pitch, which I think a lot of people were disappointed by. But yeah, like Suarez didn't really look up to his usual self. He
Mm.
was second top goal scorer in La Liga last year behind Messi, but yeah, he missed a number of chances, and I think he was kind of quite pissed off with himself. So yeah, no, that was a bit of a surprise. And then obviously Jimenez, beastly kind of header at the end, like so. I think Uruguay might do well in the tournament, but it's probably going to be built on their solid defense because
Of
it's kind of
course.
hard to see a better kind of center defense pairing than Jimenez and Godin. Like given that they play same club team, so they know
Mm.
each other in and out. So
Well,
that's definitely
you
an
got to think
advantage for
about
them.
things. You got to think about the first game of as well the tournament. Nerves and all that.
Mm,
Um, and Egypt had nothing to lose going into that really. So um, I'm impressed with Egypt's performance, and they themselves also have a strong chance of going through if they can beat Russia. I don't think a draw is good enough for Egypt though against Russia anymore. They need to win.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
no, 100%.
100%. Like, and they definitely need to make sure they get back a couple of goals against Saudi Arabia. So,
Yeah.
and then the last game that went by there was Iran versus Morocco. What was your opinions on that?
I kind of gave up after the first half because it was a bit stale. Like it started off quite high pace from Morocco, you know, like they had a couple of kind of early chances and stuff, and they had all the running of the game as far as I saw.
Mm.
And then I was just kind of about to go down to the shop to get something to eat, and then I was like, there was a corner or a free kick near the corner and stuff, and then commentator was like, oh yeah, let's hope for a good delivery here, and then I kind of stuck my head back in just as I was heading out the door and kind of saw the own goal, so that was interesting. But yeah, a lot of people were kind of bigging up Morocco's chances, given that they've kind of got a number of good players playing for big teams. Obviously, their captain Benatia plays for Juventus, which is he's a very good player. He might not be the best defender as an actual defender as a centre back, but he can bring a lot to a team. So I think a lot of people wouldn't have picked Iran, but they're probably the best of the Middle Eastern teams, to be fair. So yeah, cat amongst pigeons in that group as well. So
And
remains to see.
to be honest, I don't really have much to say about that game either. I was texting most of my friends for the most of it. I wasn't really paying much attention. But I was looking then forward to this game that's going on right now, the Portugal versus Spain game, and right now it's 1-0 to Portugal through a Ronaldo penalty. How do you see the rest of it going?
I don't know. Like I wasn't kind of expecting a good goal soon. And
hold on 1 second.
Chance there.
I'm gonna have to cut for 1 second.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'm just watching the replay there of David Silva chance. Lays it over the top. But yeah, no, I think I'll kind of speak while David is cutting out. And he'll cut back in shortly. I know it's going to be an interesting kind of battle now between Spain and Portugal. Obviously, Spain probably looking to dominate possession from the first minute right to the last. Looking to play more counter-attacking now, given they have this early goal already. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch kind of unfold. So the Ronaldo, I was kind of expected that Andre Silva would start up alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, and that Ronaldo would not lead the line, but kind of labelled as the starting striker now, given that Andre Silva of AC Milan is on the bench. So Guedes is, I'm just kind of looking at who scored right now. They've got the kind of tactics and the formations kind of listed as a 4-4-2 for Portugal, with Guedes alongside Ronaldo. So Guedes is on loan from PSG to Valencia. I think they've got a 30 million euro kind of pre-agreement for that, so it'll be interesting to see if Valencia actually can afford that. They are having a few kind of money issues at the moment, and he was phenomenal for them this year. If you haven't watched any of Valencia last year, they really kind of come back on from the dark period of Gary Neville being their manager and losing 7-0 to Barcelona or 7-1. So I think he's a great player, fast-pacey kind of winger. So I think he'll kind of drop into midfield, whereas who scored has him as a 4-4-2, one of the strikers alongside Ronaldo. And then there was kind of a big kind of debate about the Spanish kind of starting midfield, whether it be Isco, David Silva, Iniesta or Koke, but it actually ended up being all of them. So Diego Costa obviously kind of leading the line. Who scored has it down as a 4-3-3. Just kind of looking at it in flow, and it probably looks like more of a 4-2-3-1. But obviously that kind of changes dynamically throughout the game, and obviously they're a goal behind now, so they might look to kind of push one of their centre midfields, one of the DMs, kind of further forward into more of an attacking role. So maybe they'll just go Busquets as the kind of sweeper to kind of build things from, and then look to get other players kind of moving forward. So it's been an interesting opening 12 minutes. A lot of the ball has been in Spain's possession as one might expect, especially now that they're one goal behind. But they haven't actually managed to drive a save out of Rui Patricio, the Portuguese goalkeeper who plays for Sporting Lisbon for now. Obviously, myself and Dave were kind of talking earlier about the problems that Sporting are having at the moment with fans beating up their players, which is definitely a new one. Kind of sounds more like something that might happen in a South American league rather than in Portugal, but very interesting developments there, and a lot of potentially very highly rated players might be our Sporting Club de Portugal, or Sporting Lisbon as they're kind of known in this part of the world, for free. So just kind of taking a look at the Portuguese team of who those players include. So we got Rui Patricio, the goalkeeper, Bruno Fernandes, who's kind of an attacking midfielder. Can also play centre mid. Pereira's on the bench. He's just signed for Leicester City. Then you got Gelson Martins, who's very, very fast winger for Sporting Lisbon, who also looks set to kind of get his contract null and voided as a result of that kind of attack. So lots of development. Obviously, before the World Cup started, we had the big kind of controversy with the Spanish manager taking the Real Madrid job just 2 days before this game. So a lot happening behind the scenes in both camps. So it hasn't really been ideal practice for both teams. Ideal starts. But obviously, more in the shadows than the Spanish team's drama, given the late developments and the Portuguese kind of developments being more kind of club focused than the national team. So there hasn't been a big fallout between one of their big clubs and their FA, like there has been in Spain with the Spanish FA and Real Madrid, which is not a nice thing. Obviously, Real Madrid probably like the most Spanish of the teams. Obviously, there's the kind of big divide between Real Madrid and Barcelona, and by extension Spain and Catalonia. So it's interesting to see the Real Madrid team kind of being the ones acting most against the Spanish national team. Real Madrid player or fans and team have always been like the big kind of flag carriers for the Spanish national team. Obviously, anytime you see Barcelona play, they've very rarely do you see a Spanish flag. It's always the Catalan flag. Even just watching celebrations from the 2010 World Cup when Spain actually won it, kind of showed a shot of Iniesta or Xavi and Puyol running with the cup, and in between the two of them they're hoisting that Catalan flag up between them. So usually it's Catalonia kind of going against the will of the Spanish, but this time it seems to have been the Real Madrid team and Florentino Perez. I don't know if it's a bit of naivety, bit of ego, but they've kind of went behind the Spanish FA's back to try and get their man. I don't know why they didn't just kind of wait until the end of the tournament. I don't think he would have been in high demand by many other teams. A lot of people probably didn't know him before all that kind of unfolded, so it would have been easy to just kind of hold back and wait till Spain exit the World Cup either as winners or in the knockout rounds as we kind of expect them, and then just kind of announce the deal then, and then obviously have the ability to figure out how well Lopetegui has actually done with the Spanish team. But in qualifying, they look great, undefeated again, which seems to be how the Spanish qualify for major tournaments. I think read a stat that qualifying for Euro 96 was the last time they actually lost a qualifying in any tournament. So that's qualifying for all the World Cups and Euros since then without actually losing a game, which is phenomenal. Obviously, they're always going to be top seeds in their group, and some of the teams in the European groups are quite poor, but you definitely would have expected in 20 years of qualifying to actually lose one of those games. So just while that's happening, Busquets has just gone into the book. Not the worst challenge, but definitely made the most of by Portuguese player. So kind of dangerous position here, just on the edge of the right hand edge of the box. So obviously Ronaldo is involved, but so is Bernardo Silva. So he's a left-footed player, so might look to kind of cross the ball from here or actually take a shot on. But it probably looks like it's probably going to be Ronaldo, big run up as always. And I'd imagine it'll probably be a cross from Bernardo Silva if he's the one to take it. But I think everyone knows anytime there's a free kick within any sort of range, Ronaldo is the one to take it. So doing the usual big breaths. And he knocks the Spanish player on his ass straight to the head. So yeah, just looking at kind of who scored. Don't know if people kind of use that as kind of stats and analysis on upcoming games, but it kind of gives kind of live in-play rankings based on stats for each individual player. So it's kind of no surprise really that the Portuguese are rated on average higher than the Spanish. So currently it's 6.45 is the average rating for the Portuguese players, 5.93 for the Spanish. And so obviously, as you'd expect with an early goal, that Cristiano Ronaldo is the highest rated on the pitch at a 7.4. The lowest for Spain, a couple of players on 5.9. So Nacho gave away the penalty. Actually, he's 5.8 at the moment. So he's the one who gave away the penalty. So you wouldn't expect him to be higher rated than a 5.7, given that his team is at a 5.92 now. So it's kind of interesting to see the possession stats after the first kind of 20 minutes. 65.5% to Spain, 34.5% to Portugal. So I think everyone kind of expected that to happen right from the off, really. The last decade of Spanish football has kind of seen Spain playing the Pep Guardiola early Barcelona kind of style of play of completely possession based. You can't concede when you have the ball, and just getting other teams working and constantly working the ball across the back through the middle to kind of wear out the opposition and try and find a weakness in there to get people through the lines and obviously ultimately trying to score. One of the biggest kind of negatives, I guess, really about that kind of strategy is that they often don't really have a plan B. There's no different kind of way that they can set up. They don't really have wingers in the squad this time around, so there's no kind of natural width to the Spanish team, which I guess they haven't really had many wingers throughout the years, but you've always had a Jesus Navas or Pedro who kind of operate in those wide positions. But neither of those got called up this year. So a lot of their width will probably be coming from their fullbacks, and that would be Jordi Alba and Nacho this time around. So not really anything they can do to kind of change from this possession based. It's just a question of whether they can get their shots off and actually score. So David Silva just had another chance there, but he's thought it might have went out for a corner, but it looks like he's kind of scuffed it wide. It is a corner actually. So yeah, it looks like Koke's on the corners this evening. So pretty good ball in, but it's kind of broken now, and Portugal have a 3-on-1. Lovely ball through to Cristiano. Cut back. Can't believe he cut it back. Yeah, that was a absolute beastly counter attack there from Portugal from a Spanish corner. They were kind of 3-on-2. You'd expect Cristiano Ronaldo to kind of shoot, although yeah, you could see why there was a man over. But it was a very, very poor touch by the player he passed to. But yeah, it looks like Cristiano is definitely up for this, so I think it's only his fourth World Cup goal ever. I don't think he's ever scored more than one goal in a World Cup game. So that's the big kind of blemish on his goal and scoring record. The only blemish really, because he's just been so much of a beast in every other kind of qualifying for Portugal. In tournaments, didn't really score that many either for Portugal in the Euro 2016 competition that they actually ended up winning. So I think he'll probably look to try and score a good few goals. Not that he ever didn't try, but I think he'd love to kind of come home from this, obviously as a world champion. But I think a golden boot might be just as rewarding for him, given his love for personal accolades. But yeah, he's been very, very crisp so far at the start of this game, doing lovely back heels there again to kind of set up play in the middle of the park. So he's definitely seems to be playing all the roles from attacking mid all the way to the leading striker, which he kind of generally kind of does from a Portuguese perspective. Diego Costa turning defenders inside out. Oh, lovely goal from Costa into the bottom corner. I think it was either Pepe or Font that he was kind of turning inside out a couple of times. Kind of thought the opportunity was potentially gone, but yeah, no, he kind of tucked it away into the bottom left-hand corner. So all square in the Portugal versus Spain game. So be interesting to see how this kind of game develops moving forward. Yeah, no, turn the players inside out, cut back in his team. Go back inside multiple times. Kind of shots now with the ref doing the faithful tap into the air, so might be some VAR. Looking at Pepe's gone down holding his face from a challenge from Diego Costa. Yeah, forearm kind of comes across the throat of Pepe, so it's probably might be a disallowed goal here. Yeah, it was Font that Diego Costa kind of turned inside out a couple of times before burying it. So it'll be interesting now to see. Oh, goal given. The ref did have the ear pressed in. It looked like he was taking some sort of feedback from maybe the linesman, or more likely the VAR. They didn't judge it to be a foul on Pepe from Diego Costa in a challenge for a long ball. Pepe is a very physical player, but he definitely loves to go down clutching his face and rolling around multiple times because he is a very theatrical player. Bit of a hate figure for a lot of time when he was playing for Real Madrid. Kind of that kind of player that will do the theatrics, but also absolutely chop people down. There was a lot of beef between him and several Barcelona players throughout the years in the El Clasico games. Yeah, he wasn't well liked by Barcelona fans in the time that I was living in Barcelona anyway, where he definitely was one of the hate figures. Obviously not hated for his great skills like they hated Cristiano Ronaldo for, but he was definitely a hate figure. Oh, almost another goal for Spain. Will it go to the goal line decision? No, offside given. Absolute stunning strike from Isco from outside the box. They're asking for the VAR to be checked, but the referee just points to his watch that, everybody, we already have goal line technology, and if it goes over, my watch will vibrate. So yeah, came down from the other side of the crossbar and clearly didn't cross the line. It looked like it was directly on it. So that was another bit of juicy entertainment, as this game really kind of lives up to the billing. Obviously the early games, if anybody caught them earlier, kind of snooze fests. Not a lot happened. 2 late goals in both those games, so definitely didn't deliver any sort of excitement like yesterday's game did, with the Russians beating Saudi Arabia 5-0. There was loads of great shots of Salman bin Salman and Gianni Infantini, the FIFA president, and alongside Putin. A lot of gesticulating from Putin. Almost like he was apologizing to the prince from Saudi Arabia. I think he was probably like, sorry man, it was only supposed to be 3-0. So yeah, it was 5-0, two great goals from Cheryshev, which I think we'll see both of those in the maybe not goals of the tournament, they're definitely in the final montage of the great goals of that World Cup. So Bruno Fernandes going into the book at the edge of the box. Did look like he was late. Kind of looked like 50-50. Nacho kind of going down, rolling over, and stuff like that. Probably looked more of a 50-50 challenge to me. But great opportunity now for David Silva as the player putting down the ball. Kind of suits left-footed player from here at the right-hand corner of the box. Koke also kind of taking a look. Kind of surprising they're kind of showing the shots of the stadium. Looks like there's some empty seats up high. Maybe that's just the journalist section that you can't really kind of see the people. Yeah, the ref with the disappearing white lines. Doing a special little one for Bernardo Silva. He's probably like 5-6 yards from the corner of the box or corner of the actual goal wall, but he's on his own to the right of that, behind his own little white line that he's now just stepped across. So they're taking a long time to kind of take this, but David Silva is the one off the wall and cleared. So look at the odds now. It's obviously something we kind of like to do to preview a game, see what the gambling markets are saying, see what the bookies are saying. So I'd imagine there's been quite a swing in the odds throughout this game. Obviously, early goal and being pegged back by Spain. So definitely would have been interesting to be monitoring those as Portugal went one up and then as Spain kind of brought one back. But it's now looking like Portugal a 5-1, and so about a 20% chance according to the bookies. The draw's gone down to 2.88, and then the heavy favorite is Spain at 1.91. So bookies seem to be kind of saying that it's just slightly over 50% of a chance that Spain are going to win this game. And they're just kind of giving the replay now of the Isco shot that came off the underside of the crossbar. Also a bit of a potential handball, but I think Jordi Alba was given offside in the follow-up of that Isco shot that cannoned off the underside of the crossbar. Part of the ball went over the line, but nowhere near enough to even be disputed before goal line technology was introduced at the last competition. So yeah, just 20% chance for Portugal, but 55% for Spain, and then the remaining 25% for a draw according to the bookies. Just after popping up now of another in-play bet, that's Sergio Ramos or Pepe to be sent off. It's 11-1, which is not a bad thing for both of them. Bad odds for either or, because this game's definitely kind of spicing up. There hasn't been too many yellow cards other than the Busquets one early on. Not sure if Nacho got booked for giving away the penalty. So yeah, no, he didn't, but there has been 2 yellow cards. Forgot about the Bruno Fernandes one there. Just way to go for that from that Silva free kick. So 30 minutes gone here, just kind of as you were. The ratings again on who scored. Obviously Spain are after coming up quite a bit since they scored the equaliser. So Diego Costa is at 7.4 as the second best player on the team or on the pitch behind Cristiano Ronaldo. He was rated as a 7.5. So definitely going to be an interesting game with an hour left. The Iberian derby is definitely living up to the billing. Possession stats hasn't really changed much since the goal. We're still kind of looking at a 65% to Spain, 34.7% to Portugal. So definitely Spain looking at moving the ball around, looking to maintain possession. Definitely still using the overlap fullbacks as their natural will, and then using their kind of skillful technical players in Iniesta, David Silva, and Isco to kind of operate between the lines and keep the ball moving forward, complete the World Cup domination. We shall see how this moves on. I don't think David's actually going to be making it back at this stage. I've been doing my level best to current conversation with you. So might have to call it quits on the first Facebook live test that we've done. Possibly should have done a test before this evening anyway. We meant to do it slightly earlier, in between the games, but obviously we kind of ran a bit late. But I don't think he's going to be coming back at this moment in time. So I guess if he does come back, we can always go live again and see if we can have a discussion maybe at halftime to see if we can kind of break down or give our opinions based on because having the highest quality game that has been played so far. There's definite kind of difference in the quality of the players on the pitch. Obviously, there's been some good goals, especially from Russia yesterday, but the quality of the opposition just simply wasn't there. So this is kind of more of a high quality game that you could definitely kind of see this as a knockout game as well, given the quality of teams, obviously their pedigree, given that the last European Championships, before that it was Spain who won the back-to-back European Championships, and then obviously in there between those two European Championships that Spain won, they obviously won the World Cup as well. So a lot of finals experience from both these teams, a lot of silverware and medals, obviously given Spain's kind of dominance of the Europa League and Champions League over the last number of years. There's a lot of players here from teams from those, or players in those teams. Obviously, Madrid have won 4 of the last 5 in there. So yeah, the gulf in quality of this game between others is quite phenomenal. So hopefully we get our live broadcast in maybe at halftime, maybe after the game. But we can definitely kind of stay in touch and see what we can do in terms of doing some live broadcasts or podcast throughout the World Cup. So until the next time, actually it looks like David just messaged me. Tell me. His mom is preaching apparently, so I don't know if that's clear actually preaching, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be coming back. So possibly do one later this evening, otherwise do one over the weekend. Kind of give our opinions and thoughts and basically chat some shit about football in this World Cup as it kind of unfolds before us. So if you have watched and you made it this far of me rambling for about 20 minutes without David, if you were watching from the start with David, I hope his video quality was okay, because he was actually using his iPhone for the first time this time. I was probably moving around a bit, so apologies for any potential seasickness that we might, and we'll catch you guys soon.